Hello there. We're going to be wrapping up the last stage of the second rotation here of Void Rift, Torador. And yeah, this time I'm actually going into it fully blind because it's Torador and nobody cares. It's a generally easy setup. Normally, I will probably be biting my tongue for saying that in about 20 minutes, but hey, let's get the music actually back on. Okay, let's go right on ahead. So we're going to drop an Olag. We're going to have Lunaria on this side to steal the single target damage on the big guys here. And we're just going to kind of fast forward. We're just going to drop... actually, you know what? We're going to drop Hollow back here so she gets everyone. You may not even need this, but chances are Archer Gears on the lower end will need a healer placed down early to start surviving these hits. And it also allows you to kind of pump up the ults to power up the Soulbound Arcana sets if you do have any. We're going to place a Greed here just because this side needs the damage a little bit more than the other side. Which, you know, reasonably the mages are kind of weak damage-wise. So you can afford to take some more time on getting this, this bottom part set up. We're going to pop a Hollow. We're going to put an Aeona right there. And we're going to wait until this guy gets a little bit more in range. Pop Maul's ultimate, place Vortex, use an ult. Again, just really to power up the Soulbound Arcana sets. No point otherwise. We're going to hold this Maul. Actually, you know what? We have Hollow up. Let's just get this ball rolling. Another ultimate. You may want to actually keep those if you need them. For example, Vortex Ultimate can save you in a pinch. But if you don't need them, might as well just get the damage ramped up, right? The Olag Ultimate is the one you virtually never want to actually use. Hollow is old, and at this point, every single Soulbound will be more than powered up. Because I believe... Who was it? Aeona was the last placed? Yeah, there's been 5 ultimates since then. So we can actually keep the ultimates for useful things. And now it's just a waiting game, as often. Doing this, I have heard so many times, Caldivora. I don't even know what that means. But I used to trash talk Lunaria a lot because I was trying to use her for GR3, and she's terrible at that, but she does some actually pretty good work. So we're going to use the Maul ultimate now just because we're lining up 2 here. It helps a little bit to deal that damage on the big guys. Honestly, depending on your damage, really, whichever DPS you use instead of Aeona could probably be turned towards the top to get that cleared up a little bit quicker. But, you know, it's not really... It may not necessarily be mandatory. The 2 healers kind of is, just to keep your tank alive, because those big guys do hit a lot if you don't have decent tank gear, simply. And by decent, I mean some usable Guardian stuff. Alright, let's pick this up. Mosey on over here. Which one is this already? Okay, so we need 2 damage dealers here facing up. A healer to try to cover pretty much everything. Maybe we'll have to do something different with a healer here. We'll see. Alright, yeah, no, all of these are... All of these are disqualified. 2 tanks, that tracks. We're just going to simplify our life a little bit here. We're going to take that. Wow. Selection is drastically limited here, huh? Alright, what fighters do we have for... we may take an Atrox, we'll see. But chances are I'll just be going with a Rourke, because Rourke does tanky damage, and tanky damage is good. Let me think here for 2 seconds. That should be enough. But we're going to move on towards the... We're definitely going to want our Lunaria here. Huh. I guess we'll go like this, just because the Nightmare team is just kind of there to deal with the ads, and I don't think they need the damage buff. We're going to do that. We're going to put some gear on Wrath here real quick. Say... GVG Ardea. We're going to put some gear on Deimos. GVG Valk. Give him an artifact, because currently he has nothing. There we go, get the skull. What does Deimos have? Wait. No, that was Deimos. What does Wrath have? Oh, level 1 Wailing Skull. Perfect. As intended. He just has some HP gear, that should be fine. He just has some HP gear, that should be fine. We do not have a healer. So we're going to drop Gluttony. And we're going to take, say... go for Lily, maybe? Isolde bottom. This guy top. We have 2 fighters. I just don't remember the layout of this map, man. We'll just go with a, we'll just go with a Vortex. I don't think he really needs the stats anyways. And we're gonna see what happens if we do this. Alright. Olag. Okay, so we can just place a Rourke here and have him damaged there. Perfect. We're gonna have a Lunaria right there. Yeah. We're also gonna dump the Rourke in there immediately. Get a nice onslaught of damage going there at the top. How's it working down here? Okay, so we have... We're gonna drop Isolde. Oh, of course they're... Okay. Okay, we can still work with this. That's fine. So you probably ideally want a magic damage dealer here, instead of what I have. But I don't think it really genuinely matters. They seem extremely squishy. I would need to check their stats before going in to see if there's actually a real need for really any form of damage specificity here. And then, you know, just drop your Vortex. Arguably, right, you'd want to re-swap the positions of the Maul and the Vortex, but it's presumably not even necessary. You kind of probably also could just get away with using Hollow here. That would optimize your Rage Regen and ult. There's quite a few options that you can use. Slaughter kind of just gets trashed. Once he's dead, there's really nothing left to the fight. Ult with Isolde once these guys get in, because these guys do hit, and her physical damage reduction will help a lot with that. Or really it's both, but you only really care about the physical in this case. And the top's, you know, doing its thing. He will gain his damage buff, so if you don't have enough damage, that could be an issue. It could be worthwhile to figure out how to place another fighter, another source of damage to assist with the top. But that's basically the whole thing done. Because now it's, I think there's like, what, maybe 2 Axemen coming from the top. There's 1 getting lost from the bottom there. And, yeah. That's really just it. Maul that bottom part. Use Rourke because whatever, we're at the end here. And voila. It's really just the base concept is hold this bottom lane, box them in, set up a kill zone at the top too, and just slaughter everyone. Slaughter. See what I did there? Shitty puns. Yeah, Torador. You're not intimidating anyone. Okay, so this is the one that... This is one that may be a little bit more tricky. So... Definitely going to use an OAG. That, I don't know who I'm going to use at the top one. This is going to be an interesting one. Probably going to have to go with a Gluttony, maybe? So definitely don't need him. Really only need one healer, and actually we're going to do this differently. We're going to go with the Lily. Because Lily will revive the one person we're going to use this on sporadically if we need it. And that is invaluable. So when I was initially doing the clear of this, that's one of the main blocking points that I had, was keeping a fighter alive to deal with the Axemen at the top. We're going to have two tanks just to be able to swap between the two if we need them for Baron. And actually, really, if I'm thinking about this, we're going to want Baron to tank Baron. If you don't have Baron, that's fine. You can figure it out with another tank, but Baron will gain you some of that extra time to temporize and hopefully clear the phase. Where... Isolde, where are you? Jesus. There she is. Alright, we have a Baron. He probably doesn't have a good level 1 Bastion ring. He should be fine. And then... Okay, top lane fighter, we wanted Gluttony. There we go. Let's go like this and see what actually happens here. Ideally, so okay. Alright, I'm doing it this way. You probably do want... Okay, so wait, hold on. Sorry, give me a second. Probably can just go with Deimos here. This one will be Wrath, because Wrath will be able to sustain himself. Deimos will get the heals from Lily. And that's great, because he will need them. 17. Drop Lily. He gets full life. He'll be fine. He will also have the damage to deal with this. Most of the fighters really will be able to handle this lane. Arguably a tanky fighter might be better, so someone like Rourke or something. Gluttony will be a good option. Abomination is also a good option here, but, you know, if you didn't, for some reason, if you don't have him, or really anything, Gluttony will just gobble one of these swordmen out of 2, which is, in all honesty, a very good deal. Bummer is I should have placed Deimos one tile forward, because it would have let us... You know, actually, no, I can do this. We have Rourke. This works out. So Rourke will handle his lane when his lane has units, and then he will also hit here. If you have other ranged fighters, the same concept could actually be applied with Deimos. Obviously, this requires ranged fighters. I did not have any when I first started this. I think the only one I had was Abomination, and I did not think of using Gluttony here at the top. What this does mean is you could just use Gluttony here, right? Just build him very tanky, with ideally some regen. Some rage regen and speed. And then you use your Abomination here, because once Abomination gets his full stacks, he then gains 2 range. Well, he gains 1 range, so he's at 2 total, which then allows him to actually deal a non-negligible amount of damage to Baron, helping you actually get that last bit of damage that you will need for this boss. Because, especially in certain rotations, right, the damage is just, it's close. It is very tight. And it can mess you up a lot. I think I struggled a lot more clearing the Baron than I did clearing the Torador when I first cleared Void Rift. By really a non-negligible margin. Now we're going to save a Wrath just to kind of drop in here and deal some damage to Baron once he respawns. For now, it's not really necessary. Same for Vork's ultimate. We are holding it for when we actually need it, which is once he powers up a bit and gets pissed. So he starts gaining these stacks of attack, and that generally hurts. So you don't want to do anything yet because he's still invulnerable. Now you pop it. And that actually does help us because in any case, he has mobs spawning on him. So here, right, you see Olag getting very low life. So you're going to need to drop that second tank you brought in. And this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. If you have a Volca, this is easier. If you have more damage, this is easier. But if you don't, you have to make do with what you do have, and that's placing this tank. Now, instead of Wrath, instead of this last damage dealer here, so Wrath could go, for example, where Deimos is, and you just drop Deimos entirely, and you take a third tank. And then you're just cycling through the tanks, or a Decimus. Maybe, Decimus probably won't cut it. But, point is, if you take enough, you can make this work. If you have enough ranged fighters, you can also make this work by replacing Lunaria with a healer. But those are a few of the options that you will have available for Baron. So it really depends on where your account is at, what your roster contains, and to an extent your gear. I'm just not going to do these, right? Because they annoy me. I will not include them in the video because it's the same crap as usual. You drop all your units, you drop some AoE, and then you AFK to go get a coffee or something for the next 3 minutes. And I will keep Torador as a separate video, just because he's the boss, right? It makes sense. But other than that, that was most of Phase 3 of Torador Void Rift. So, cheers, and have a nice one.